Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Monday, April 17th. It's here, baby! Stanley Cup Playoffs. Can't feel better, can't be more excited than I am right now. We're just hours away from puck drop of the first four first-round series taking place tonight with Game 1. The other four will begin tomorrow night, and we're excited, and we will basically be covering every game of every playoff series from here on out from a betting perspective in every which way possible. Sides, totals, player props. We will certainly be hammering it all on a daily basis right here on the Ice Guys playoff editions moving forward. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and as like we did last year, we'll be rotating a bunch of special guests throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs, current and former players. And we have Brandon DeFazio joining us here on our first official playoff show from Germany, where it is Monday evening there. Brandon, great to have you. You're still playing pro hockey, of course, these days. Your season in Germany, the DEL, you just completed it recently. Welcome to the Ice Guys show. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ian, Alex. It's a pleasure. I've been following along with you. We've been kind of playing a little bit of tag back and forth and seeing how things progress. So I'm honored, first off, to be on here on the first playoff show. So it's exciting.
No, exactly. And of course, first time on the show. So as we do with our guests, just a little, who are you? Who is Brandon DeFazio? Talk about your hockey journey. I know you've played in Germany here this past season, but tell us how it's been from a hockey standpoint for you, the hockey journey over the years.
Yeah, it's been unique. I mean, a unique career. I think everybody has their own story in terms of pros. I find that, maybe the more unique ones are almost more fun to talk about. I think you see the podcast nowadays, the people that play all over the world, the Spittin' Chicklets one, a lot of times they like the Russian stories and stuff like that. So I've got a ton of experience. I'm from Oakville, Ontario. I went to Clarkson University. I've been playing pro for 13 years now. I started in the American League, played 7 years there, mostly, pretty much everywhere, signing with different NHL teams, kind of following the dream wherever you think it's going to find your way to the NHL, and was fortunate to play those couple of games with Vancouver, and then decided to switch roles and kind of flip over here and try my luck in the KHL. So I played a year in the KHL in China, of all places, and lived in Shanghai. And then I went to Finland and then back to China and Beijing, which is, crazy. And then I've been in Germany for 3 years now. So.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Someone in our chat, by the way, those stairs look cool, says IceX in the chat. It looks like the kind of stairs, though, when you see just the way they look here on the screen here. Looks like if you're drunk, high, or under the influence, though, there could be an ass over tea kettle situation about to unfold there, because they look pretty high. They look like you got to take your time. Be careful there.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to give the German feel. We get the German kind of stairs looking here. Give the full culture for everybody to see. But nice. Yeah, they got little holes in them. So I got a 1-year-old that's decided that she's climbing them every day, and with just my luck, can figure out how to open the gate now and get up there. So a little dangerous. But yeah, you're right. A couple of German beers, a little stronger than most, might be a little trouble getting the top. But we figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And of course, you had just a small period of time with the Vancouver Canucks. That was the main foray you got in the NHL. But just talk about that experience. I know it wasn't very long, but talk about how that was for you.
Yeah, I mean, probably a little shot of espresso. That's about it. Not even a full cup of coffee, but yeah, fuck it. I mean, everybody wants to play in the NHL, right? And just to be able to say you did that, specifically for me, I mean.
It shows up on the Elite Prospects page for you there. Brandon DeFazio, NHL, Vancouver Canucks. It looks good.
That's exactly right. And it has the little symbol there beside your name. So that's huge. That's fucking huge for the rest of my life. I can have that little symbol there. That's great. Yeah, I mean, look at, for not only me, for my family and stuff, I mean, it's a grind, and everybody knows that. To play in the NHL, it's, we're sports betting guys and talking percentages, it's pretty fucking low. So just to get there, the 0.001 or whatever to play the game, being undrafted to OHL, undrafted NHL, It was what everybody dreams of. It was a special moment. Parents got there, everything like that. So it was exciting.
How interesting was it playing in China? I mean, that travel with China and, of course, the league mostly being in Russia, just kind of talk about like that experience. I'm sure it had to be different than any other team you played with in your career.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. I mean, I think there's two angles to talk about. It is wild, and a lot of people that you've had, like I alluded to, the stories from Russia, they are there, but it's not as crazy as people would think. It really has changed. If you're talking about the Super League, compare the KHL and stuff, from that experience from hockey, it was totally normal. I mean, it was incredible. It was high end as I played, considering, I think it's extremely, talented, in terms of the teams you're playing when you're playing Red Army and all these teams. It's, it's tough. So I get to play against Datsyuk, Kolchak, all those guys. So from that experience, it was unbelievable hockey wise. In terms of living, for the China experience, I mean, it was wild. I mean, it was completely different. The travel was just whack. I mean, I honestly couldn't explain it. For the most part, people wouldn't believe it, but it was like 300 plus hours on a plane. We'd fly. We would do 14 hours, 15 hours, casually on a plane. We did have our own, as a charter and stuff, you hunker down and it's okay. You have some red wine and play some cards, but, it gets long. I mean, by the time you get home, you kiss the pavement when you land in Canada and you say, thank God, because, it just torches your body. I mean, you can't do that many time sheets that we did and, come out the other side fresh. So it was unique, but it was fun. We had a lot of fun. We had some great guys there. If you looked at the Chinese team that just went to the Olympics, that was basically the team that I played with. Brandon Yip's the captain there. Played some games.
I saw that. Yeah, he played for them at the Olympics.
Just a great guy. He's a good buddy now. So we've created some relationships and memories, and we got through it. I mean, that's the thing. You got to be close if you're going to spend 300 hours on a plane, with someone. And, we made the best of it. We had Iron Mike Keenan as our coach one year, and that was many stories in it itself. Of Mike and the challenges of, what he puts on his players. But, it was a blast. I felt fortunate, as the player I was, just to be playing the KHL. So.
Yeah, and there's that Mike Keenan, of course, and he's the kind of coach that now these days people wonder if that kind of coach works in 2023. It's a different era a little bit, and now it's just I don't want to say hockey players are coddled now, but a little, to at least a certain degree they are. And you're seeing just a perfect example of there's very few coaches, like the Torts or the Mike Keenan, and of course Daryl Sutter still around in Calgary, and there's rumblings that the interactions with him and his players this year didn't go swimmingly from start to finish this year. So, we're in that era now. We certainly heard some situations involving Babcock, of course, with Toronto and some of the things that he was doing there with certain players. So there's that thought process where, unfortunately, if you're going to be the all in, all out, not tyrant, but you're really going to be demanding, you're really going to crack the whip in a lot of occasions, like a Mike Keenan, like a Daryl Sutter or a Torts. There's that wonder if it's going to be something that's going to be good for a coach like that these days, if they're going to be able to get those same opportunities now that they did, say, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk about, right? I mean, I think there is a place still for demanding coaches, but, the line is certainly there. You just can't avoid it. I mean, players are different. I mean, I've seen it, with my career alone, if you talk about 13 years and then you go back to having, from my first year, and I can almost guarantee it, but I had John Hines as a coach my first year, and I can almost guarantee he's a different coach now, because that's just the way you've had to adapt. Now he's a smart man. He's a principal guy. He has his standards, and he's a very, very hard coach. But I would imagine from what I've heard, he relies heavily on relationships too. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, you're right. You have to coddle players in a certain sense, hopefully not too much, because you'd expect that hopefully the better teams, and I think the teams you're seeing now that have found success, they, self-regulate themselves. Right. And, the coach is there to formulate, Ian, Alex, and Brandon are all different people and figuring out what each one of us needs. And, but you do have to have that level of accountability. I think as soon as you lose it, that's the thing that those guys you just mentioned have always, but without, like I said, that line trying to stay, within it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one thing, to be cussed out, and every player sometimes will by their coach, but it's one thing for them to get, another thing for them to get, embarrassed, basically in front of,
Right.
their teammates, and really, put them in a situation where they get humiliated by the coach. You don't want to see something like that. But definitely, that's what's been interesting to watch, how it's unfolded with Daryl Sutter. It's that, he's one of those old school coaches that he started head coaching in the late 80s. That's how, and back then there was a lot more of that going on, and not as much today, but definitely interesting to see, how the coaching spectrum continues to unfold. Now, before we get into the playoff breakdown, the first time we have a player on the show, we like to go into the vault, find something from their career, some kind of play they made, goal they scored, some kind of Brandon DeFazio highlight, if you will. But this is what we found, and he did this a few times in his career.
Keeps it alive, has it up to your side for Archibald with a shot and a good save. As coming out of the crease to cut down the angle was Kincaid, and now McKelvey dropping the gloves as he and Brandon DeFazio. Between the circles, Brandon DeFazio and Chris McKelvey. DeFazio getting a right in there as McKelvey tries to come underneath with an uppercut. Pulls his helmet off as DeFazio grabs the back of the head, and McKelvey trying to rip his helmet off as well. Able to get, no, he couldn't get the helmet off as McKelvey comes in with a good right hand, coming in again, and McKelvey, the helmet still firmly on, trying to get some shots in on
it was all right.
DeFazio. Comes in with a couple of left hands.
I remember just trying to make an impression. I remember that being one of the first few games there. As you can see, Cam Jansen's right there. So I knew which person not to go near. That animal was flying around doing this fucking thing, saying stuff you never even heard in your life. So it was more so like, okay, I better find someone else quick because this guy's coming around, and I don't need that in my life. But I was new there. I just signed there. It was my first year in Utica, and just try to make an impression. I mean,
that's what it is. Yeah, that's what we've heard. We've heard from so many of our guests that, drop the mitts every now and then in any league that they played in, including Jay Rosehill was with us earlier this year, and that's what it was making an impression. And he said it when he was with us earlier this season. I'm probably not making the Toronto Maple Leafs roster unless I put myself in a spot to, chuck the mitts and do that kind of thing, especially back then, because that was late 2000s, and fighting was still a lot more prominent then compared to now. So it was important to, make your impact, make yourself known, have your presence felt, and certainly that's the way to do it. So there you go, a little Brandon DeFazio highlight for you. Before we get into the 4 games tonight, as the Stanley Cup playoffs begin, some overall thoughts just on the playoffs that are about to begin, Brandon, teams that you think are going to be going on a deep run, some series that you're interested in watching the most here in the first round, whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, it's just such a tight landscape right now. I really believe that. Like, it's just, I mean, it's going to be one. I mean, it's always like that, but it feels like this year it's like anybody, and you say anybody, but you put, maybe Boston above that anybody, but it's like, man, like there's just so many good teams right now. And it just feels like, where I always go, like if I'm thinking from as a player, and looking as the teams, is like you think about goaltending, but then I've heard, in the past that, you really only need your goalie to be, 0.910, and you're going to be probably okay. But, there's these X factors in goalies, and when I look at it, I mean, Boston with a plus 86 goal differential is scary. That's like, okay, and they have the best goalie tandem in the league, and then Carolina, I think, now that they've lost Svechnikov, is it a problem? And I don't know. I mean, it's just, like you look at Ullmark, Sorokin, Hellebuck, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky. Like those guys are all X factors for me. Like those are the top 5, what I would say. So then you look at, okay, can any of those teams upset teams? And it's like, fuck, okay, where are we going now? I have interest in the Leafs, obviously. Everybody does, obviously, with the storylines and what's been happening. With the way they went all in, with a guy like Ryan O'Reilly coming in that, I know well, and Noel Acciari, who I played with, those guys are, Luke Schenn. Like, is this gonna be the changes that they need?
They better hope so, because I'll tell you what, shit's gonna absolutely hit the fucking fan. The Toronto Maple Leafs team is knocked their ass out again in the first round, and I've said it in the last couple of shows now that we've done, and I said this on the previous show too. I'm putting my neck out there. So is Alex, and so is a lot of people. So are a lot of people in this first round that this is finally the year for Toronto to win a first round series. So if they don't fucking get it done this year, I'm going scorched earth on the Leafs with the rant to end all rants. And I have had some memorable ones, Boz, on this show in the past involving the Toronto Maple Leafs. I just reamed them out after they completely shit the bed, shit their pants, urinated all over the ice surface against Montreal a couple of years ago. That was bad. So last year I wasn't as harsh because I thought they went out on their sword. That was a hard effort. That was a hard series. That was a tough series. They could have won it. They lost in 7. They went out valiantly. There was nothing valiant about the Montreal series. That was up 3-1, and you absolutely pissed yourself in the last 3 games of that series. And that was unacceptable. And the top players disappeared. Couldn't find them with a telescope on the ice in the last 3 games of that series. It was an issue for me. And so I just let them have it after they blew that to Montreal. And then I got to hear Mitch Marner say that we weren't ready to play going into Game 6 when they lost in overtime. Yeah, you have a chance to win your first series in 18 fucking years as a team, and I got to hear that you're not ready to play a game to clinch a fucking series for the first time in 18 years. Drove me nuts. Drove me absolutely crazy. I flipped. I flipped exactly, Olaf. That's exactly what I did. And now that I'm remembering all of that, the experience with Toronto against Montreal, I'm flipping all over again. So we better move on and change topics before.
I mean, is that not though what you just did though? That's what's going on though. That's why it's so hard for them. I mean, you got so many people that just did that rant that they're doing it right now. They're like, "Fuck's sakes, here we go again." But I mean, that's why it's so polarizing to watch them. I mean, I love the Leafs. I have so many connections to that team. I fucking desperately want them to win. Desperately. I think everybody that's from that area.
You and all Leafs Nation. Yeah.
We need it. I mean, you're desperate for it, but it's like, it's tough. It's tough to win, especially when you're playing Tampa Bay 2 years in a row. I mean, and they have the best goalie in the world. That's absolutely the way it goes, and they know how to win. But fuck, I mean, you look at it this way: Toronto, how many captains do they have in the room at this point? Like O'Reilly, Giordano.
And I don't want to hear Dubas thrown under the bus if they don't win that series.
Yeah, come on, you can't throw him under the bus.
Absolutely not.
How? I mean, look what he's done. I mean, he's pushed the chips in this year more than ever, but he's tried. He went and got another captain last year. I mean, he's done this, or whenever it was when he got Foligno. I mean, he's done the right things. They need to fucking step up now. That's what it is. I mean, they have a mature group. They have, like I said, how many captains could they have? They have Shen could be a captain on a team. Giordano's been a captain on a team. O'Reilly's been a captain on the team. You got John Tavares has been a captain. I mean, come on, you guys got the group now. You just got to believe in yourself, stay tight, make it happen.
Even Jake McCabe won't take shit from anybody. Physical, block shots, does all those little things. I mean, they've got the team, the compromised roster of a playoff team, a good playoff team, a dangerous playoff team, one that can win multiple rounds and even win a conference. But again, they got to go out and do it now.
Yeah, they do.
And that's always been the issue. Yep, that's been the issue we've seen from them in the past. All right, let's get into tonight. We've got 4 Game 1 matchups, and it begins at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, East first round. Game 1, New York Islanders, Carolina Hurricanes. We've got Carolina minus 170, home favorites here. Now, these are the Game 1 prices, obviously, you see on the screen here. Minus 170 for Carolina here in Game 1, 5.5 the total. In this one. Should be interesting to see how this plays out. The main bet for me here in Game 1 is I'm going to take a shot with the draw here. This is another series where I'm going to be looking at some draws with the Islanders and the Hurricanes. Carolina, we have seen evidence of them last year, of course, against Boston and all throughout the playoffs last year until that loss to the Rangers that they suffered. They were undefeated at home in the playoffs until that loss to end the series against the Rangers in the second round. So this has been a good playoff team at home. And, I think we talked about it, Alex and I. We think this is going to be a homer series potentially, where this could be one of those series where it's a lot like Boston, Carolina last year, where it's Carolina wins the first 2 at home. The Islanders in their very loud home environment, which, again, is nothing like it is in the regular season there. For Long Island, they ramp it up big time in the playoffs at UBS Arena. It could very easily see the Islanders end up winning the 2 home games when it goes back to UBS for 3 and 4, and it could be one of those. It's just the home team hold serve in every game in this series. So, that's the way I see it. I mentioned Saturday. I sprinkled on this series to go 6 and 7 games. I think it's going to be a tight series, competitive series, very close. So I'm on that. The plus 210. Tonight, though, mostly I'm going to be looking toward the draw. I think it's going to have that potential. It's going to be a very close series throughout, in my opinion. So that's what I'm looking at. I don't think it's going to be a lot of goals in this series. And I have to applaud Rod Brindamore, guys, for making the decision he made in net, Antti Raanta, as opposed to Frederik Andersen. I actually think it's the right move. Actually, I think the best move would have been Pyotr Kochetkov, to be quite honest with you, in net, but you're not going to see him. It's going to be Antti Raanta to get the first crack at it here in Game 1. And if you remember last year, when Frederik Andersen was injured, Antti Raanta was largely the guy in net for the Hurricanes. And especially in the Boston series, he was very good. He was pretty good early in the Rangers series. I think he ran out of gas down the stretch of the Rangers series because, look, guy in his late 30s that hasn't played that many consecutive games in a row in his career very often, high-pressure playoff games. He got to the point where he started double-digit games in a row there, and Antti Raanta has not really done that, especially in the playoffs. But I think it's the right move because I think if you look at Raanta, especially down the stretch, when he got in the net, he played pretty well. And when Freddie Andersen was in net down the stretch, not so much. So I think it's a situation where Rod Brindamore is just playing a hunch. I'm going with the hotter hand in net, and that right now is Antti Raanta for him. Sorokin will be the goalie, of course, for the Islanders, and he's a big reason why they're in the playoffs and in the first place and got in over, say, Pittsburgh, for example. He was excellent down the stretch. So, yeah, I think this is going to be goals maybe hard to come by here in this series. I think this is not a bad sprinkle here. I'm going to do a small little correct score bet for the first period. Scoreless. No goals in the first period. I'm going to take a little shot with that because I think it's probably maybe going to be a little bit of a cautious opening here in this game. So if you can find, correct score prop for the opening period, I think looking at the first period to be scoreless, it's not a bad option here in this game, in my opinion. I could definitely see it being a scoreless first period, which, by the way, would be the price isn't great because it's around plus 175, but I definitely think we could see a scoreless opening period here in this game tonight. And then as far as props go, there's a bunch that this is more of a prop game for me. And in the playoffs, you're going to see me really, really defer to the prop market now. It's less about the sides and the totals and more about the props, I think, on a game in and game out basis, because I think there's better opportunities on the prop board at this time of year. And for the Carolina Hurricanes, I actually think this is a great series in terms of looking for value in the goals, in the goals and point score markets where you could take some shots. Our guy Kevin Beach recommended Brent Burns as the top goal scorer in this series at plus 4,100, 41-1. And I think I could agree with that because of the fact he shoots the puck a ton. Like he's averaging like almost double-digit shot attempts per game. And lately he's been averaging, over 4 shots on goal per game as well. So I like his over shots on goal prop as well tonight. Brent Burns for Carolina. I think as well, too, Stefan Nason, someone you want to keep an eye on. Number 1 power play unit. A guy that really gets to the front of the net, which is great, which makes a good power play. Getting to the front of the net, getting to the tough areas of the ice. So anything Stefan Nason, maybe a small flyer on him, in terms of goal and point, the top goal and top point scorer in the series for Carolina. Here's a guy that goes on as didn't exactly light it up down the stretch or play great offensively because really this team struggled. Brandon, you hit on it. They've struggled offensively since Svechnikov went down. They have not been able to score as many goals as a team. But I'll go with someone that's been able to rise up and elevate at playoff time for Carolina. He did it last year. He's done it before. Teuvo Teravainen for the Carolina Hurricanes. Yes, not a great finishing stretch for him offensively. I will admit that. But how many times do we see a player, maybe not play great down the stretch of the regular season, suddenly step their game up in the playoffs? If you look at it, he averages more goals per game in the playoffs the last couple of years than the regular season. And I think you could see, Teravainen make more of an impact here moving forward. Again, he was not, overly productive down the stretch. But I think here in the playoffs, whether it's a small flyer on him to be the top goal and point scorer in the series, him to get a goal and a point tonight here in Game 1, I think it's great value. And we have seen evidence of Teuvo Teravainen being one of the guys to step up here for Carolina. And also don't sleep on Seth Jarvis, another guy down the stretch, underwhelming offensive numbers, but a guy that at playoff time, last year in particular, showed an ability to step up. So some Seth Jarvis props as well. On the Islanders side, I'd look at Nelson. He's the obvious candidate. He's been great for them. I think he's going to be one of the catalysts for them offensively throughout this series. If they're going to make noise and win this series, Brock Nelson's going to have a huge part in it. Getting Matthew Barzal back is significant. Not a big goal scorer, but man, a great facilitator. Sets up his line mates, over 50 assists this season for Matt Barzal. So having him back is definitely significant. So those are the guys that stand out here for the Islanders, but especially Brock Nelson for me in terms of making an impact. Bo Horvat, we haven't seen him obviously in the playoffs for a couple of years now. See what he does as well with his new team, the New York Islanders, tonight and in this series. Alex, what do you think here? Game 1, Islanders Hurricanes.
Yeah, this is going to be a live game for me as far as betting concerned. Like I said, I already have that plus 4,800 ticket of basically the home team winning all games and it going 7. So by default, I'm on Carolina. And looking at just the numbers of it too, 13 and 2 the last 15 meetings for Carolina. It's important for them to get off to a hot start, and that's what I kind of want to see. And I think it might be that feeling out process, that you're kind of saying with no score, but there could probably be a ton of chances. So you might be able to get in with a little look on a live over, dropping down. I mean, you probably get 4.5, maybe even 3.5 if they go scoreless in the first 20 minutes. So that might be something I'm circling to look at. And like I said, just kind of seeing who's going to, throw the first real good punch in this series. This is one that, like I said, didn't have the greatest of feel compared to the other 7 series going in. And that's kind of where I'm at now. This is more of an observation game, see what I'm going to do for the rest of the series.
By the way, here's a prop market I'm going to start looking at here in the playoffs starting tonight. And I don't bet these at all, quite honestly, in the regular season, or hardly ever, but I'm going to start now. We like shots on goal props during the season. I like them. Alex will dabble in them. A lot of our viewers and listeners as well. But a lot of times those shots aren't going to get through in the playoffs. There's going to be a lot of shot attempts, but they're not going to get through. Why? Because the commitment to blocking shots goes way up at playoff time for obvious reasons. So I'm going to start looking at blocked shots props here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I've done some work on them going into these series, and I'm trying to target some defensemen. Like, I'll tell you one that stands out. We won't get to him until tomorrow, but a little spoiler for tomorrow's show. Alec Martinez. Look at that guy blocked shots. That guy is just a road grader. He just stands in front of every puck, and he will end up, and he'll make sure that shot gets suppressed and doesn't get to the net. He's amazing at it. And there's someone for the Islanders tonight that's very good at it. Scott Mayfield for them, very good in terms of blocking shots. Tough, rugged, physical defenseman, blocks a ton of shots for this team. So Scott Mayfield on the Islanders side, block shot prop, I think is a good look here tonight for them. I think you could look for Slavin on the Carolina side for sure. Jacob Slavin, he's just one of those do-it-all defensemen. He's excellent, moves the puck well, skates well, is good defensively, good posture, good positioning, stick position, body position, knows where to be in the D zone at all times, and of course he blocks a lot of shots. So Slavin for Carolina, Mayfield for the Islanders. I think those are good looks, and the block shots props over tonight. What do you think here, Brandon? Islanders, Hurricanes.
Yeah, I like the angle you're taking there with block shots. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're just thinking principally, you're right. I mean, people are going to put their bodies on the line a little more now. I mean, if not at the most possible. 2 teams committed to defense first. I mean, if you're looking at it, Carolina's been one of those pinnacle teams in terms of how they defended, but so have the Islanders. In terms of X factors, if what I'm thinking, from what I've seen, and if history dictates properly, the X factors and what we always end up talking about with the Islanders is, that fourth line. I'm not sure if they're together at the moment, but it's Clutterbuck, Cizikas, and Martin. And for whatever reason, these guys come alive.
That's the Don Cherry line. He couldn't watch Coach's Corner years ago without him praising that line and saying how much he loved them. Well,
and they just suit the playoffs so well, right? And we've seen it time and time again. Those guys somehow score big goals. They play way above what they show in the regular season. But in terms of a line, they bring the energy and such. But I might take one of those 3 as an X factor goal scoring. Because if we look back on it, we've seen Cizikas score big goals, we've seen Clutterbuck score big goals, and we've seen Martin score big goals. And those are all 3 guys, like you said, that go to the net. There's a reason why they score in playoffs more probably than they do in the regular season is because they get to the hard areas. I think, like you said, another thing I go back on is Sorokin's just so good. It's a factor. I mean, Antti Raanta is unbelievable too. He's obviously, like you said, maybe not the obvious choice, but the right choice. But yeah, I think we're looking at low scoring. And when you said, in terms of the 0-0 first period, I like it, but I think it goes two ways, right? So you look at it this way. Yeah, there's some feeling out process. There always is, but it can go to one of two ways, right? And the other way it can go is a lot of goal scoring because of the mistakes, because of the nerves. Does the high end goaltending, allow for it to be, no goals or do they come out and they stand still and it's one of those series that takes, just like most of them, some time to see what we're really getting into, so I find that interesting to think about. I'm not sure if they're going to come out nervous and make the mistakes, or like you said, they're going to come out, feel out process, a little slower of a period, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Like I say, I think the four defensemen you're going to target here, maybe for the blocked shots. Like I say, it's Pesce. It's also it's Pesce as well for Carolina, in addition to Slavin. Actually, Pesce's number one on the team in blocked shots, 110 blocked shots this year for Brett Pesce, and Slavin not far behind. Those are the two, Mayfield, and good call by Occupancy in the chat, Pellick as well. It's been very good with blocking shots for the Islanders. So if you can find over blocked shot props on your book for those two defensemen on each team, yeah, good bets. I think those are two guys that are going to be looking to help out their goalies at every opportunity in this series. All right, Florida Panthers and Boston Bruins, the other Eastern Conference first-round series, which gets underway tonight, Game 1. Boston minus 220, home favorites, 6 the total here in Game 1 tonight. And all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a shitstorm of news involving the Boston Bruins entering Game 1 tonight, that a flu bug or some kind of illness is running through this team prior to what horseshit timing that is. Could you imagine that? I mean, you've had this incredible, historic season. You've been basically, other than at the beginning when there were a lot of players out, you've been pretty good in terms of staying healthy. And then all of a sudden, Patrice Bergeron takes a bit of a suspect hit, if you will, against Montreal in the final game of the regular season. They took him out for what was called precautionary reasons at the time. Well, we're finding out it's a little bit more than precautionary right now, because he's still having some issues potentially with that. But it also could be a little bit of this illness that's crept into the Bruins dressing room prior to Game 1 tonight. So Patrice Bergeron's status, suddenly the last 24 hours, is very much in doubt for Game 1 here tonight for the Boston Bruins. So keep an eye on this. He's a game time decision. And Allmark, the runaway favorite to be the Vezina Trophy winner this year, Linus Allmark, is also a game time decision because of this flu bug or illness bug that's running through the Bruins. So it actually could be the Bruins might have to start Jeremy Swayman tonight here in Game 1 if that is indeed the case. And they've actually called up a goalie from Providence just in case. And Swayman, remember, missed practice due to this illness yesterday. Right. So there's actually potential they'd made if things were really bad right before puck drop, that they might have to go to that emergency goalie that's called up out of Providence here tonight for this game. So keep an eye on this. This is a fluid situation. It seems to be there's new details and changing scenarios and situations involving all of these players. It seems hour to hour. So make sure you keep an eye on this. Makes it difficult right now to make a firm recommendation. Here's the way I'll put it. Okay, there's nothing in terms of the personnel for the Bruins in Game 1 tonight that will put me on betting Florida. Nothing. Okay, because if there's one team that can overcome all the obstacles, all the concerns, no Bergeron, maybe our captain out, maybe no Linus Allmark tonight, who's had an incredible season in net. If there's one team that's got the experience, the poise, the maturity, and all the playoff experience to handle a situation like this, not panic, stay focused on the task at hand, stay focused on the game plan they need to execute to beat Florida, not only in this series, but in Game 1 tonight, it's Boston. They're the kind of team that they've got the mental makeup of a team that can, hey, we throw anything at us, we'll be fine. And they have shown us that throughout the course of the season. So, and yeah, I mean, if we start to hear that no Bergeron, no Allmark, and who knows, maybe someone else is affected by this, then maybe you get a better price and people start to rush and bet Florida because of this. You get a better price on Boston closer to puck drop. So I think they can manage this. And how many times do we see in the NBA, NHL, all sports, everybody with some key players out, or your captain out, or whoever it is, whether it's one player or a couple, you overcome it. Everybody pulls up their bootstraps, does a little bit more, and you overcome it in that first game without those key players. Good teams do that all the time, whether it's NBA, NHL. So again, all of this, stuff going on with the Boston Bruins is not going to say, yeah, let's bet Florida now, at least for me. I'm not going to be looking to do that. What I am on in this game is the over. I'm going to look at over 6 here, minus 120, because you look at the series history, Panthers and Bruins, all over the total this season. For some reason, Florida played Boston. You got high-scoring games. I think you're going to see something similar tonight. I think with Boston being off for a little bit of time as well, they may not be totally locked down defensively. And, of course, with all due respect to Swayman, who's a good goalie, he's not quite at the level of all marks. So you could see Florida be able to chip in some offense. And, yeah, I know Alex Lyon is a big part of why Florida got in. He was lights out, spectacular down the stretch. They were calling him the Lion King around the team because of how good he was. But let's be real, okay? He finally got lit up a little bit, right, in that final game against Carolina. Down the stretch, he gave up some goals finally. This is his first ever playoff start on the road in what's going to be a frenzied atmosphere at TD Garden tonight for game 1. Let's see how he fares here. Okay, this is playoffs now. And what he's done, it's a spectacular story. It's an exciting story. It's a fun story. But let's see if he can extend that success into the playoffs in a tough environment against the best team in the NHL, right? Let's see if he can do that tonight. I think Boston will score their share here in this first game tonight. So I like over 6. There are still some 6s out there. Shop around. Bet online, Caesars. A couple books still have 6. Some others have 6.5. But try to find the 6. I like this game to go up and over the total. Alex, Panthers, Bruins.
Yeah, I'm not going to be fooled twice by this. It reminds me a lot of the beginning of the year. We talked about Boston playing Washington. And it's like, okay, well, no Marchand, no
Boston early in the season.
Fade Boston early, and then they made me look completely stupid. So I'm not falling for this twice in the same year. And like I said, Swayman, he's the highest rated backup in the league, according to my numbers, all season long. So that's not the biggest drop off in the world to have him start in this game. Now, obviously, you want Allmark. He is the better goalie, but these are 2 great goalies. So that's not the worst thing. You just wonder if he's feeling better today and getting ready. Whereas Allmark, hopefully, like I said, this that stomach bug can be a tricky thing. Take a couple of days, and even when it's out of you, but you still got to rest and recover and hydrate. So. It'll be tough, but I think Boston still has enough of the horses to win this. I thought about Florida. This, like I said, it's a 2-headed monster here. I like Boston, obviously, but I also just don't like Florida. I still don't trust this Florida team. As far as I'm concerned, they're the 16th team in this postseason. And like I said, when you're running with Alex Lyon, he's a tremendous story, and we've seen him play well in other lower leagues in the playoffs. But this is the NHL, and this is one of the best teams we've seen in a very, very long time. I don't know if Florida's going to be able to just hang around in this. So, like I said, I'm sticking with my Boston in 4, and I think Boston takes care of business. I did play the puck line late 1.5 at plus 125. Maybe wait for that because, like I said, Florida money might come in. You might get a better number. You might be able to get plus 135, plus 140 closer to puck drops. So that's the shot I'm taking. I can see where this game trade goals back and forth, and then Boston pulls away late and get an empty net goal and win this one by margin.
Yeah. By the way, this is the David Pastrnak game for me, especially with Bergeron potentially missing. Watch that guy; he'll play a great game. And then he's had an unbelievable season. He's actually scored in every game this year against the Florida Panthers. Something to point out. Sometimes there's guys that just play well. I'm on everything Pastrnak tonight. I'm on him to score a goal, anytime goal props, right around even money. It's not a great price, plus 100. But I think he's going to find the back of the net. Over 1.5 points is plus 155. That's a very good price on that. And I'm on the over shots on goal. It goes without saying. This guy's just been shooting the puck consistently. And even though his shots on goal prop is 4.5 every game, he's been going over that. He's been getting 5, 6, 8 shots on goal, in a lot of games down the stretch. So Pastrnak will be active, in my opinion, here in game 1 tonight and probably throughout this series as well. If you're looking for blocked shots props here, in this one, I'm just trying to see in terms of the Bruins here, blocked shots leaders, but obviously, talk about a great defensive team, they're going to block shots. We're looking at Clifton and McAvoy, by far the top two. McAvoy, 131 blocked shots, leading the team in that regard. Gudas, been very good blocking shots on the Florida side. So, Gudas over 1.5 blocked shots, minus 140. McAvoy is 2.5. So, they priced it well. The odds makers weren't sleeping because they put McAvoy at 2.5 blocked shots tonight. They know that he's just been, eating a lot of pucks this year defensively for the Bruins, helping out both Swayman and Allmark. So that one, could be a little bit more dicey. It's a big difference going from 2 to 3 blocked shots to cash your bet. So I like the Gudas one a little bit more, but I certainly wouldn't talk anyone out of taking a shot with McAvoy as well over blocked shots. Brandon, what do you think here? Florida, Boston.
Yeah, I mean, let's not, like Alex said, let's not fall into this here. I mean, Boston's going to come out hot. They're at home. They're going to play fucking good. I don't give a shit what they got. I promise you, it's the NHL. They're going to have every possible thing they can possibly get in their bodies to make them feel all right. Honest to God, it is what it is. People can,
and he could still play tonight, Bergeron, for all we know.
I mean, it's like in like, okay, and then we talk about Allmark. Okay, he can't. If he can't go, I'd be shocked. But I mean,
no. Okay,
he doesn't go. Swayman's 8th best goalie and all the fancy stats, in the league for goaltending. So I mean, okay, then you got him. That you're saying he's sick of, albeit they called up Bussy, who was the best goalie in the entire American Hockey League. So I mean, where are we going here? I mean, if we're really talking about it, Lyon's been good. He's been a story. He's been incredible. Most of his resume is American League, which is no different than the third best goalie in Boston, who just did what Lyon did in the American League anyway. So I mean, I'm not too worried about it. These guys are animals. I mean, they're veterans. They know what they're doing. I mean, they heard the talk at the start of the year, downplaying what they could do without everybody. It'll be no different now. You don't think they're sitting there right now saying the same shit? They got the best leadership group probably in the league. I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. They got a coach that brings the energy. He's going to get these guys fired up. They're playing at home. I mean, it's just going to be nuts. I honestly, I'm not overly worried about it. I would suggest that all the things Boston, I would go that direction. Hey, that's part of betting. We don't know. We don't know how this is going to affect them. But like I said, it's the NHL, guys. Like, it's not. We're not playing the East Coast League like I did, and you're eating chicken wings before the game and trying to figure it out. But these guys are they're elite athletes, and they're getting treated that way. And I guarantee you, they have every single asset going right now to make those guys feel all right. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win this game. Again, I'm not involved. I'm not on either side here. I'm not on Florida. I won't be on Boston, but I'm not just all of a sudden. Yeah, Bergeron might be out. Allmark might be out. Now I'm interested in Florida. No, that is not the case. Not the case for me. I do like the over, though. That is my main pregame bet here, side or total in this game. I do like it over again, all 4 meetings went over the total during the season, 4-3, 7-3, 5-2, 5-3. Were the final scores in those games as well. And keep in mind, Boston, they have won 4 straight home games against the Florida Panthers as well. So, and they've definitely played them well. And I remember earlier this year, 7-3, the last time Florida made the trip here to Boston back in December. That was an ugly night for them, for sure. So, yeah, I still think the Bruins end up prevailing here in game 1, even with these question marks surrounding the Bruins personnel. By the way, our guy Jimmy Murphy did a great little interview with Trent Frederick, and it was posted on the National Hockey Now YouTube channel. And basically, Frederick talking about a great opportunity for him in the playoffs, especially with what's going on with the Bruins personnel. So he sounded like, and the quotes were great. Like, this is my chance to really shine and show what I can do and provide for this team. So if you buy into those words translating into action on the ice, maybe some Frederick props tonight. Maybe take a flyer. And that guy works hard. Say what you will, Trent Frederick, and he's one of those guys that you notice him more at playoff time. Hard on the forecheck, physical. Will go to the tough areas of the ice to try to score goals. Try to get in the goalie's grill of the opposing team. So it's just those little things, and he's a playoff type player, and I'm sure the Bruins definitely happy to have him. All right, we got 2 more games left on this Monday card. Hit the like button. Anyone watching on YouTube, we appreciate it very much. Back to talk Minnesota, Dallas, and LA, Edmonton coming up right after we hear from Gramco.
Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Gramco. Whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, court, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 THC products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products, including vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable, legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you. Gramco is also available at many American retailers as well. You can get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. And if you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you will get 20% off of every order, and any order that's on the site over $50 will be shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
All right, we are back, and it is time now to go to the West. We have two Western Conference first-round matchups getting underway in Game 1 tonight, starting with Minnesota and Dallas. Dallas minus 145, home favorites, 5.5 being the total in this one. I'm on Dallas already to win the series, so probably not going to jump in and take Game 1 as well. I'm already on them to win the series. I gave it out on Saturday's Stanley Cup Playoffs preview show as the best bet for me. And I just think I like what I know I like what I'm seeing from the Dallas Stars right now. They're playing excellent hockey. I think they've got the more offensive firepower up and down their lineup to be more dangerous, score more goals, which was their downfall last year. They just didn't have that offensive thrust that they needed against Calgary, and they had to rely on Jake Ottinger too much. I don't think they'll have to rely on Ottinger nearly as much this year. You look at this lineup now, and the depth they now have up front to try to score goals, the Dallas Stars, and all the players that have had great seasons for them. Jason Robertson, Roope Hintz, and Joe Pavelski is a really good second line. Getting Max Domi from Chicago and now putting him with Marchment, and Sagan. I know Marchment hasn't had as good a year as he did last year with Florida, but, don't just suddenly assume he can't get it going here in the playoffs for Dallas. He can be more than capable, and he's got some grit and sandpaper to his game. That I like as well. And I think he got that from his late father, Brian, who, of course, passed away much too suddenly last year. And I think that was an adjustment, too. I think that maybe played a part in his early struggles as well. You just lost your dad, right? You just passed away. I mean, that's obviously going to affect you. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mason Marchment here comes to life here in the playoffs. Jamie Benn on the third line. Dadonov, who's a capable third-line player as well, chipping in offensively. And centering that line is this whiz kid, the 19-year-old rookie phenom, if you will, Wyatt Johnston, who's been amazing for the Dallas Stars. To think this kid comes right out of junior from the Windsor Spitfires last year. I remember watching this kid here in Hamilton. I was at a Bulldogs Windsor Spitfires game last year, OHL Championship Series at the FOCU, as we call it. That's what I call it, the FOCU, First Ontario Credit Union Center, the FOCU. that's my phrase for it. I went down to the FOCU there, the FOCU Center, First Ontario Credit Union Center in Hamilton, Windsor and Hamilton. And there's Wyatt Johnston ripping it up for Windsor, and he gave Hamilton grief, even though Hamilton won that series eventually. It went 7 games. It was a great series, and we went to the Memorial Cup last year. But that Windsor team was tough, and Wyatt Johnston was incredible. To think he was in junior last year, and he's now in the NHL, no minor league hockey for him at all, right straight to Dallas because he was that good in training camp, and he's got 24 goals this year in his first year. Incredible. Don't sleep on his props throughout this series. I keep saying that. He's been undervalued all season long for this Dallas team. So I like Dallas in the series. Obviously, I'm going to lean with them to win Game 1, but I'm not going to add on. I've already got them to win the series. I like the draw, too. Because even though I like Dallas in the series, I said we're going to bet the draw in every game in this series. I'm committing to it. I'm pot committed to bet the draw in every game in this series, and I think we're going to have profit to show for it. Because I think you're going to get at least 1, if not 2, and maybe even 3 overtime games, out of this series. And if we see that, and you bet the draw in every game, you're going to be profitable at the end of this series. So again, shop around. The draw bets are usually the best ones you can find are at FanDuel. You get really good prices there on the draw for NHL betting. The draw seems to be the best prices there, plus 340 at FanDuel for the draw for this Minnesota-Dallas game. Keep an eye on the status of, and he's important, Joel Eriksson-Ek, who's actually traveling with the Wild to Dallas for the first 2 games of this series. He skated on his own over the weekend, and there is potential he could be back, if not tonight, maybe for Game 2. but he hasn't even been ruled out completely for that. It's so important to have him in there. He's one of their best defensive forwards. He can chip in offensively because he's a 20-plus goal scorer. Eriksson Ek would be a massive boost for the Minnesota Wild if he's able to return either tonight or in Game 2 on Wednesday night. So keep an eye on that. And to me, I think the thing that concerns me about Minnesota, they didn't play great down the stretch. And again, with their offense, it's very top-heavy right now. What are you going to get from beyond a little bit from Hartman, and a little bit from Gaudreau, but mostly it's Boldy, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello, and then there's a drop-off after that. So that's going to be the key. Do they have that third wave, that third line that's going to produce consistently that I think Dallas has in this series, and that could be the difference. Gustafsson will start the series in net, which I expected. He's been great, but let's see, this first playoffs now. Let's see how he fares in it. And Ottinger, to me, there's no questions there. He was great. He's the reason that he even got to 7 games against Calgary last year. I think he'll be fine. So I like Dallas in the series. No bet on them in Game 1 for me, but I am going to take a shot with the draw here, plus 340. Alex, Wild Stars.
Yeah, I agree with you. There will be a lot of overtimes in this series. I don't think tonight's going to be one of those games. I took a shot with the Stars, plus 115 in regulation yesterday. And the play I like even more, and I grabbed it at BetMGM. We talked about these in the last, 3 or 4 weeks, maybe in the regular season. Look at those combos of the side and total. Took a shot with Dallas and over 4.5 at plus 135. I think that's a fantastic number. And I think we're going to see, this will probably be the fastest pace potentially of the series. I think you can see a lot of wide open hockey early in this contest. I wouldn't shy away from taking both teams to score here in this. And I know that's something that we haven't seen from Minnesota. Usually they kind of play low and slow in the first period, more of a feeling out process. But I think Dallas is going to drag them into the fire early. I think they're going to score often and force Minnesota to kind of have to play a bit more of an open style. So that 4.5, tie it in with Dallas winning at plus 135. I think that's a great number. So that's my official play for the show. Like I said, I do have Stars plus 115 in regulation in pocket as well. But I would, if you can bet that at BetMGM or any book that has those combos, I would decide more with that combo of the Stars and the total over 4.5 at plus 135.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I think this is going to be one of those games too, where Dallas at home, feed off the energy. And the one thing about Minnesota, I've noticed them trending this way lately. They've been giving up a lot of shots on goal on the road. They've allowed an average of over 37 shots on goal per game in the last 10 road games down the stretch. So I like the over saves tonight for Gustafsson for the Minnesota Wild. I think that's a good, and I like it for Sorokin actually in the Islander Hurricane game, because Islanders fall into that pitfall lately. Down the stretch, just giving up a lot of shots on goal on the road in particular. And Carolina, at home, I think could rack up the shots. So I think those are two of my favorite props tonight for goals, for goalie saves. Sorokin for the Islanders and Gustafsson here for the Minnesota Wild, both over their save props.
Ian, do you worry about a short leash for Gus if he gives up a couple of goals early?
I could say that about everything.
I wouldn't worry about, but
yeah, definitely, yeah, that's true. That's true. But like I say, I'd worry about that in every game, because even the most experienced goalie, if you're giving up 4 in the first period just to shake up momentum, the coach is yanking your ass, and pulling you just to try to shake up momentum and wake up your hockey team. What do you think here, Foz, with this one, Minnesota Dallas?
Yeah, I like Dallas. I mean, I think they got a lot of good stories, guys that haven't won. Pavelski, these kind of guys, Ben and such. Can Sagan find his game, and elevate? You'd like to think so, but I think Dallas is all right here. I'm not sure in terms of Game 1. I think they're a team that have enough veterans in that locker room that are excited for the opportunity. I wouldn't suggest that we'd be worried about them. Alex alluded to it. I just like their team. I really do. They're kind of an X factor team, in the West, right? Which I think is a little bit more open in terms of who can do what. Dallas is one of those teams that you probably look as a wild card that can make a run here. That's how I feel. I mean, I think Minnesota drags them into the fight. That's what they're going to do. They're going to Foligno, Hartman, Reeves, these kind of guys. I mean, they're going to. But is Dallas the kind of team that can't handle it? I don't think so. Jamie Benz is going to go and do whatever he has to do to win, and I think that they'll be fine with that game, even if it goes that direction. I think they're the wild card right now. I like Dallas, and I guess we'll see how they start.
Now, in terms of the goal and the point props tonight in this game, I'm really, really high on Joe Pavelski in this series. as a whole. In fact, I posted on Twitter these two prop bets, series top goal score, series top point score. I'm on Pavelski in both of those at plus 800. I think it's got a real shot. He led Dallas in goals and points in the first round last year against Calgary. 25 points in the last 20 games for him since March 1st for the Dallas Stars this season. So not only does he have the track record of stepping up and playing his best when the games are the biggest in the playoffs, he's got 25 points in his last 20 regular season games entering these playoffs for the Stars, like more than a point per game since March 1st for Joe Pavelski. So you've got not only his propensity to step up in the playoffs, but he's in red-hot current form here in the regular season entering these playoffs. So it's a perfect storm. Everything comes together, I think, for Pavelski, that he's very live to be the top goal scorer and point scorer in this series between the Wild and the Stars. So I like that. I like his goal prop and his point prop tonight once again as well for the Stars. You know, it's funny in terms of Jamie Benn, you know, at times, you know, you don't always get him at his absolute best in the playoffs. And there's just certain games where he's not nearly as noticeable. But if you actually look at his track record against Minnesota, he's really burned this Wild team. He has a really good propensity and pattern of scoring and making an impact against Minnesota. So that might have you looking at Jamie Benn as well tonight for this game for any props involving Dallas. If someone's going to score for Minnesota, I'd probably say, Zuccarello, former Star. It's very possible. It's funny how that works. Former player usually makes an impact often against his former team, but probably Boldy. Boldy's probably someone that, you know, I think could be, he's got to, I think, have a big series because, you know, Kaprizov's going to get all the attention from Dallas. Eriksson X health is still a question mark. You don't know what you're going to get necessarily down the lineup. Gaudreau, Nyquist, Hartman, some of these other forwards. And then there's a big drop-off with what they get in terms of the bottom six offensively, Minnesota. Boldy's got to have a huge series. He's got to make an impact. He's got to be a game breaker offensively. Minnesota's going to win this series. If he is, that's going to give them a much better chance here to beat the Dallas Stars in this first round series. All right, final game of this first night of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and what a series and what a game and what a series this could be. For the second straight year, it's the Los Angeles Kings and the Edmonton Oilers in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Edmonton minus 190, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. I broke down, Alex. I took Toronto in the series. I actually bet Toronto in the series, but what I did was I did it in a parlay with Edmonton to beat LA. So I turned that into a plus, I believe, plus 115 with Edmonton and Toronto parlayed to win their series. So that's the way I approached it. I ended up wanting to get in on Edmonton in some way, but I didn't feel comfortable with minus 1.5 games either because I think LA is going to be this is going to be a long, tough series for the Edmonton Oilers. Make no mistake about it. I think the Oilers, they're my pick to be in the Stanley Cup. They're my pick to win the West. And if you see, I uploaded my bracket to our Ice Guys pool, our Ice Guys bracket challenge, which, by the way, make sure you get in on that. The Ice Guys bracket challenge. If you haven't done so already, it's free to sign up. The link is in the YouTube video description below this video. But yeah, I've got Edmonton to win the West, but that doesn't mean they won't get pushed and have a hard time against the Kings here in the first round. Kings aren't chopped liver. You know, the Kings are a very sound defensive team. You know, they are capable of at least, they're not going to shut down Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, Nuge, Kane, and the rest of the Oilers, but at least neutralize them a little bit and give yourself a chance. They certainly have that capability. Jonas Korpisalo, as we expected. We kind of thought all along, Alex and I, that he was going to be the playoff starter in Game 1. And he will be for the Kings tonight after getting him from Columbus at the trade deadline. Gavrikov certainly makes them a better defensive team. Here is what I can't get over, though, coming into this series, and I think it could be the death nail for LA. Okay, this has been a historically good power play. I don't know if I've ever seen a power play look as good as Edmonton's ever, honestly. That's how good it is. That's how dynamic it is. They're number one in the league. They're converting at a 32.4% clip for the entire season on the power play, Edmonton. That's unbelievable. For an 82-game regular season to be converting at 32% on the power play, more than a quarter of the time, that's unbelievable. That's incredible production with the man advantage. They're very good 5-on-5 defensively, the Kings. But you know where they're not nearly as good? The penalty kill. It's the one small little issue the Kings have. They're only 24th in the NHL in penalty kill percentage. That, at the end of the day, is, I think, going to maybe make a difference here in this year, potentially a big difference, because that's the one area where LA is a little bit leaky defensively, the penalty kill, which is the one area you cannot be weak against the Edmonton Oilers. So that could be a little bit of a problem here. We've had the question marks regarding the status of both Gabe Vilardi and Kevin Fiala coming into this series. They have ruled Kevin Fiala out for at least game one tonight with that lower body injury. He missed the last 6 games because of it, so that's unfortunate. This is a 72-point player for the LA Kings this year. They've got to be able to score some goals. For as great as they can be and Korpisalo in net, they are not going to shut down Edmonton entirely. There's just no way that's going to happen. They've got to be able to score some goals, and Fiala was going to be a big part of that. That's going to put a lot more duress now on Kopitar and Kempe, in particular, carry the load for the Kings. And Gabe Vilardi, who was, I think, excellent this year offensively, he won't play in game one either. 23 goals, 18 assists for him this year. So that's a 20-goal scorer not suiting up for you tonight either. So that definitely is going to hurt the offensive punch of the LA Kings a little bit to start this series. I'm going to take a shot here, first period puck line on Edmonton. Just the way I think, because if you look at last year and the Edmonton Oilers, the one thing they didn't do was start the series well against the LA Kings. Remember, game one they lost at home, and I've already read things from Connor and Leon and some of the other players saying we can't start slow like we did last year in game one. That was one of the mistakes we made. We didn't have a good game one. We want to make amends for that. So I think there's an onus for the Oilers. Let's be ready. We know we got a taste of the playoffs last year, got all the way to the Western Conference Final. Let's have a good start tonight, and let's show that we're ready to play playoff hockey right from the beginning, right from the opening puck drop. So at plus 145, plus 150, I'm going to go with that Edmonton first period puck line tonight here with Kings and Oilers. I kind of think the first game could be high scoring because I believe last year's first game was as well, but I don't know at 6.5. I might wait for something live. And I do want to target the over, but I might wait to see if we get maybe a scoreless first few minutes and then maybe look for a live over. As far as the props go, Bouchard goes without saying. I think Draisaitl actually to score a goal might be worth a look here as well tonight. Maybe a more onus on McDavid, and Draisaitl ends up being someone that it takes advantage. Evander Kane, that's the funny thing for Edmonton. For as good as they played down the stretch, Kane, maybe wasn't at his best offensively down the stretch. If he ever gets going for the Oilers, look out. Take them to another level if that indeed happens. Alex, what do you think here? Should be a great one to wrap up our first night of the playoffs, Kings-Oilers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I think we do see some goals early here. I'll be looking at that first period over as well, but 155 is a bit steep. I'm waiting for that to drop down to $1.25 or $1.20, and that's when I'll jump in. So only going to need maybe about 2-3 minutes of scoreless hockey for that number to come down to where we want it. But like I said, the Vilardi, injury and like I said, Fiala too. And it seems like Fiala might miss this entire series from what I was reading on Twitter, where Vilardi could possibly come back later. Like I said, that's big for them, because you need that you need every offensive player you can have to keep up with this Edmonton team. If you expect to play what's going to be seemingly a 6 or 7 game series back and forth. So missing any key players will hurt a little bit. But I think Edmonton, like I said, having that home crowd momentum, I think they come out hot early. And I think we definitely see some goals. Not sure if all the goals come from Edmonton in the first period, but I think we get at least 2, and we'll have enough time to try to grab some better value on that first period.
All right, Brandon, what do you think here, Kings-Oilers?
I think you said it. I think they're motivated to start fast in Edmonton. I mean, play's going to be rocking. I don't know. Kane was unbelievable last year in playoffs. I mean, the guy was on fire. I mean, he's a guy that I'd like to see come out hot. I almost want to say that at plus 1,200 first goal in the first period, that's a guy I'd be looking at. Hyman's another guy you would think that's probably going to come alive here, considering how good their power play is and where most of the action comes to the net front. I mean, that guy makes a living there. Nuge, what a year. You get to look at a guy like that. I mean, you got to think it's going to be high scoring, like you guys said. But, my 2 big things is Oilers come out hot. Evander Kane last year, if you're looking at what he did, I mean, it was unbelievable, the goal scoring that he was able to put together. He's a guy I'd be looking at to score first.
All right, first goal scorer, Evander Kane, right? You liking that?
I like it.
All right.
I don't know who likes it, but I fucking like it. So
There you
we're gonna
go. No,
try,
that's
right?
great.
We're not.
No, it's because if you like it, I mentioned it because that's plus 900 for him to get the first goal in this game.
I got plus 1,200 here on FanDuel. So
Oh, there you go. Shop
Yeah.
around. Yep. FanDuel again. I find, with a lot of the goal markets, assist markets, points markets, and as we talked about with the draw, you can get pretty much some of the best prices with all of those type of bets at FanDuel. So I've noticed that as well. So good stuff indeed. Yeah, I'm on Evan Bouchard to get a point. I mean, this is just it's been a great bet. It cashed with ease again down the stretch for Edmonton when they needed those. With the San Jose game down the stretch, he scored a point again for this Oilers team. Like, he is getting the power. Like, it's plus 110 for him to get a point. That's unbelievable. He has basically taken the Tyson Barrie role on this team. One of their most counted on offensive-minded defensemen, plays the number one power play, which is going up against a 24th ranked LA Kings penalty kill this year. How do you not take plus 110? If you want to be looking into the bargain bin, take a power play point prop as well for Evan Bouchard here tonight at plus 170. You could definitely go that road as well. Evan Bouchard, no question about that, is his point props are extremely value laden still. They have not made any sort of adjustment with those. So, yeah, good find there. I absolutely agree with it. All right, good stuff. That is the Monday quartet of game ones in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Appreciate everybody joining us live on YouTube. Hit the like button and shout out to our podcast listeners as well. Make sure you check out patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 a month. Goalie charts, totals charts, power ratings, daily Ice Guys show betting card, bonus content, and more. Check it out, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 a month.
Absolutely. Also, check out the Ice Guys store. It's get nice and warm out. Grab yourself a t-shirt, a cap. We got hoodies. We got mugs. We've even got bandanas for your dog, clothes for your baby. We got everything. iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. Never mind, J.C. Penney or any of those cheap-ass department stores. Get your gear and your stuff to wear at the Ice Guys store for sure. And also, speaking of things you want to be aware of, our first Ice Guys Stanley Cup Playoffs live betcast tomorrow night, Tuesday, April 18th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Me, Alex, all of our viewers and listeners, anyone interested in joining us on the betcast, just send a DM at Bobano on Twitter or email bobano350@gmail.com. We'll send you the link for the betcast, and you can join us on the stream, live betting the 4 game ones tomorrow night in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Bring your booze as always. Drinking is encouraged. It's a bar and a pub atmosphere with our betcasts each time, and the playoff betcasts are going to be even more fun because the stakes are even higher now at this time of year. So we're looking forward to it. Our first live betcast for the playoffs tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. A lot of fun. We have had fun, Alex. I mean, just shooting the shit, lots of jokes, lots of laughs, shits and giggles. I mean, it's just a great group too. They know their hockey. We all, laid back people. We're, easy to get along with. We have fun. We try to make some money with our live bets. It's just so much fun, the betcast. And we're looking forward to our first playoff live betcast tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's a great time, and we've been winning lately too. So that's the thing. It's nice to have fun, but when you're winning and having fun, that
always helps. Yeah, that always helps. When you're getting your ass kicked, you don't enjoy the betcasts nearly as much. But when you're winning and you're casting those live bets, it's a little bit better. All right, we'll wrap up the show in just a moment with best bets right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS. That's promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, it's about 14 million balls that you can preserve. The Performance Package 4.0 is the complete accessory package to take care of everything that is required. You've got, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0. Takes care of your facial hair and among other things. You've got, of course, the Weed Whacker. I'm approaching 40. Nose hair has become a major issue. It pisses the hell out of me. I need to take care of that shit, and the Weed Whacker can help you do that. Both of these products, waterproof and a 4000K LED spotlight for a more precise shave. And you'll also be able to take care of those delicate areas with the ball toner with the ball deodorant. Keep you smelling good, looking good, and feeling good down in the nether regions. This complete performance package 4.0 will take care of everything for you, for all you guys out there, and it's courtesy of our good friends at manscaped.com. So get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use promo code IceGuys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, it is time for our first best bets of the 2023 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet tonight?
Yeah, we're heading down to Big D for game one, Dallas and Minnesota. I think that home crowd's going to be rocking and rolling. I think we're going to be hearing some Pantera playing a little bit often. Give me the Dallas Stars and over 4.5. That's a combo bet, plus 135. You can grab that at BetMGM right now. That's going to be my best bet. Dallas and over 4.5 as a combo bet, plus 135. Best bet for day one of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
All right, so there we go. And I was dabbling in those late in the regular season, the money line and the total, the combo bet. Dallas and over 4.5 for Alex P. Smith against Minnesota for his best bet here for this Monday night NHL playoff slate. Brandon DeFazio, hell of a job. You're a natural. My gosh, you've got just the energy, the charisma. You just shoot it like I do. I mean, it's amazing. Great job. Hope to have you back maybe later on during the playoffs. But what do you like for your best bet tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. You guys are putting me on the spot here. You know, I don't know. I can't seem
Pressure's
to get away
on.
I know. I can't get away from the Bruins. You know, you're not going to get the lines you're looking for unless, like you said, you know, these illnesses factor the line. But I like Marchand anytime goal tonight. I think he's just that kind of player. I think he got off the schneid there late in the season. He had a little bit of rough go. Like you said, he's had some luck against the Panthers. I like him to get a goal tonight. So.
All right, there we go. And I'll do some line shopping for you because I care. I'm that kind of person. I basically plus 226 at Pinnacle, the best price out there with Brad Marchand to score a goal tonight. So shop around. You actually do get some pretty good prices because, again, he didn't necessarily light it up to the level we expect from him. So as a result, you're getting a little bit of a better price tonight, plus 226 at Pinnacle. Best price for Brad Marchand to score a goal tonight. That's what Brandon DeFazio is going with for his best bet for this card. My best bet's going to be from that same game, but I'm going with that over. Florida-Boston, over 6, minus 120 at BetOnline. I think we get over that number. All 4 regular season games went over the total. The question marks in net with Allmark. If Bergeron doesn't go, I think it hurts them just as much, if not more, defensively than it does offensively with everything he does away from the puck. So I think Florida can chip in, but certainly I think Boston will provide a little bit of a wake-up call for Alex Lyon. And remember, that Panthers defense is still a little bit lacking quality depth. Boston's the kind of team that can maybe take advantage of that. So I think we'll see enough goals here in game one. Florida-Boston, over 6, minus 120 for my best bet here for this first night of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Absolutely great stuff. And you know what's great, too, before we wrap it up? The Betcast tomorrow night. Make sure you join us for it. The Leafs start their series against the Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow night. That'll be one of the games. And if it's fucking 2-0 Tampa, you know, after the first period in that game one, you're going to hear about it from yours truly tomorrow night. That's all I got to say. If here we go again here with this fucking team. But that's another story. But yeah, if we're going down that path again with the Leafs, it's going to make for a fun betcast tomorrow night. If it's another bed shitting from the blue and white, but that's another story. Great stuff, Brandon. You're an amazing guest today. We appreciate it. Great job. Hope to have you back. Hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks a lot. I mean, best time of year, right? I mean, this is where it gets going, and couldn't have been perfect time. I mean, I love it. I love following you guys and getting in on this. You know, the chat's been lively. It's been exciting. I had one of the best beers going in the world here, a nice Helles from Germany. So life is good. Playoffs are on the horizon. What else do we need, right? I mean, this is what we live for. This is what the most exciting, I think, sport to watch in playoffs is hockey. And like you said, I'll be looking tomorrow more so on watching my Leafs and see on pins and needles where we can get. But no, it's exciting. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you. We'll get you back on during the playoffs. And yeah, like I said, I mean, everybody's like a lot of people like Toronto in this series, but everything you see is that the last 2 months they've been better than Tampa Bay. I don't think there's any debate whatsoever. They have been clearly the better team. But again, none of that matters. You've got to take this albatross that's around your neck of 20 years of failure and throw it away. And we'll see if they're able to do that starting tomorrow night. But great stuff. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, our special guest, Brandon DeFazio, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Tuesday. Our daily show and the BetCast coming your way tomorrow right here on the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now.